Hearts beating, palms sweating, and anxiety kicking in, it seems like the world will end and our hero will be defeated once and for all. But wait, that's when an unexpected knight in shining armor walks in to save the day. Sometimes, not only were they unforeseen, but the last time the hero and knight came face to face, they were at loggerheads with each other, and that's what makes their entry even more iconic. Despite that, the connection prevails, and what the filmmaker builds between the two in the first half of the films supersedes either of their egos. Let's look at 3 films with 3 different scenes that have this moment to compare how each unexpected return is different from the last. If there is one movie that combines all army cliches in one, it's Border. J.P. Datta does not hold back the drama even in the slightest. It is a film about the Indo-Pakistan War of 1971, where Lieutenant Major Kuldeep Singh Chandpuri leads a battalion of 120 soldiers at Longewala to ensure the border is guarded in case the battle reaches the frontier. Amongst the battalion were passionate soldiers who sacrificed time with their families to defend their country. But with zero action, arid climate and no way to contact their families, the soldiers got restless in no time. One of them was Company JCO Naib Subedar Mathura Das, whose wife was going through cancer and he wanted to be with her desperately. Finally, the letter sanctioning his leave arrives and he excitedly goes to everybody to share his news. Mathura Das's excitement felt like a slap on the rest of their faces, and Major Kuldeep noticed it. He berated Mathura Das in front of the company for rubbing salt in their wounds.
Mathura Das ji, आप खुश हैं कि आप घर जा रहे हैं, मगर खुशी का ये बेहुदा नाच जो आप अपने भाइयों के सामने कर रहे हैं, अच्छा नहीं लगता.
There were enough men and each suffering through problems of their own. And yet, his point was simple. If everybody ran back at the first sight of personal problems, who would man the border? Major Kuldeep brutally expels him from the company and disheartened, Mathura Das leaves. When the war is finally declared, Major Kuldeep starts preparing the men for battle. With roles assigned, they put up a courageous front, but the pressure was mounting from the other side. The Pakistani army was relentless and the Indian border was guarded by a small number. The odds were completely against them, and then the scene begins that leaves them with a small ray of hope shining their way. The sentinel alarms Major Kuldeep of something approaching them. The change in music already tells us that this was not going to be a threat, but rather something that would help them all together. At first, you don't know who it is until he starts walking in and you realize it's none other than Mathura Das.
Mathura Das?
खोटा सिक्का हमेशा वापस आ जाता है सर.
सुबह का भूला शाम को घर लौटा है, उसे भूला नहीं कहते.
They speak in idioms as a way to tell each other that forgiveness was asked and given at the same time. Even if it was just one person's addition, Mathura Das coming back to help his company, who had nothing going for them, was a step that showed his brotherhood. But let's not miss the interaction between Bhairav Singh and Mathura Das, who were once at each other's throats. This one act of returning back made Mathura Das the hero, but what made him immortal was when he sacrificed his life to extract a recoil spring for Bhairav Singh's machine gun. Who would have thought that not only would Mathura Das return, but give up his life for a man he once hated? Well, that's just the magic of cinema. But true cinematic magic is a film that becomes the go-to for multiple generations, with scenes and characters that are so impactful that you can't ever forget. Some films tug an emotional cord that lasts a lifetime, and Raju Chacha is one such wonder. Directed by Anil Devgan, this film follows the story of Siddhant Rai, a wealthy single father of 3 children, whose mischief is infamous for driving away any caretaker who attempts to supervise them. Finally, Siddharth brings in Anna, a girl who has lived in an orphanage all her life, who manages to evade the children's trick to throw her off. Eventually, the 3 kids accept Anna as their older sister and come around. Shekhar, a conman who regularly robs banks, cheats and deceits people, sees Anna and decides to trap her by pretending to fall in love with her so he could fraudulently steal Siddhant's wealth. However, in the process, he actually falls in love with her. Nonetheless, Shekhar's financial condition does not change and he even steals the wedding rings. On the day of the wedding, Shekhar looks unsure. He knows the foundation of the relationship was built on a lie, but it was too late. Anna's happiness knows no bounds. But in the church, while the ceremony took place, Siddhant was summoned outside where he learned the truth about Shekhar's deception. As Shekhar and Anna are about to exchange rings, Siddharth interrupts and tells everyone the truth.
Anna, ये आदमी झूठा है, चोर है, फरेबी है। ये हमें धोखा देने ही आया है।
Notice how in the middle of the scene, Anna just walks away towards the cross of Jesus while the background blurs, indicating that after Shekhar's lie was caught, nothing he said after that mattered. Shekhar walks out looking back one last time as the police escort him. As Anna kneels before the Lord, the only person who dares to come near her is Siddhant's daughter, who innocently offers her a hug. Later, Anna decides to go back to the orphanage, but on the other hand, troubles for the children were just about to begin. Siddhant and the kids meet with an accident in which he passes away, and the children's estranged relatives who were greedy for their money decide to adopt the children in order to seize Siddhant's wealth for themselves. The relatives tortured the children day and night, and finally came the day that their fate was to be decided. The scene took place outside the mansion where the magistrate, relatives and children gathered on a foggy morning to sign the adoption papers. Nearly convinced that this was their best option, the magistrate was ready to pass the verdict in favor of the relatives. But just then, the sound of horses galloping was heard in the distance. The fog lifts and a carriage pulls up outside where they all sat. And out comes Shekhar, looking completely different than before.
सुना है यहाँ सिद्धांत राय की दौलत और बच्चों का बंटवारा हो रहा है, इसलिए मैं भी आ गया अपना हिस्सा मांगने के लिए.
He claimed to be Siddhant's long-lost brother, Rajit Rai, aka Raju, and the rightful guardian of the kids. They inquire more about him and ask him questions that only Raju would know the answer to, and he answers correctly. His calm, casual and confident demeanor unnerves the relatives, but he was determined to help the children no matter the cost. The magistrate declares that the hearing to decide the next step would take place in 10 days. The relatives tried to intimidate Shekhar, but he remained unfazed. There may be a war pending, but today he managed to save the children from the cruelty, and that's what mattered. Although some days you fight a battle for a momentous victory, and on some you fight to correct injustices that are long due. Happy New Year is the kind of film that you don't go into thinking you'd be impressed, and it surprises you. For the limited heist movies that Bollywood makes, there was no one better than Farah Khan, the director of this entertaining blockbuster, to pull this off. The story is of Charlie, the son of lockmaker Manohar, who gets falsely incriminated by his boss for theft and is put in jail where he kills himself. Grover, Manohar's boss, using the same design that Manohar created for a safe called Shalimar that was almost impenetrable, recreates Shalimar under the Atlantis Hotel in Dubai to store a shipment of rare diamonds. Wanting to avenge his father's death, Charlie puts together a team that would help him steal the diamonds and frame Grover. They would do so by entering a dance competition held in the same hotel on the same dates that the shipment would arrive. Their plan was set and everything was in place. They even recruited an actual dancer, Mohini, to help them with their choreography. Mohini may not be polished in many ways, but her passion for dance was unmatched. Which is why after they succeed in their heist and are about to leave on a boat, Mohini is unable to join them. She sees the hope in the public's eye, the kind of respect she had never gotten before.
पूरी दुनिया की आंखें आज इंडिया पे है और इंडिया का भरोसा हम पे. आज नहीं नाचे ना तो हमारी नहीं, इंडिया की इज्जत उतर जाएगी.
Despite knowing the risk involved in going back after getting a clean sheet, Mohini still could not let the fans or her country down. She decides to go back and perform, but Charlie and the rest of the gang choose to go ahead without her. Simultaneously, Grover finds out about the diamonds and realizes that this could be Team India's doing. So he goes backstage to see if they would show up to perform or not. If they didn't, everything would be crystal clear. With bated breath, everybody waits to see how things unfold. Mohini appears like a swan on the stage. She performs her heart out, and despite being the sole performer, a thunderous applause erupts for her. She has bittersweet tears in her eyes as she looks at the crowd. But Grover was not convinced, and he wondered about the rest of the team. To Mohini's surprise, the curtain behind her drops, and one by one, they all appear, ready to own the stage. Mohini feels emotional but overjoyed. It was truly a moment she felt like she was part of the team. And the best part, Grover's face. The goofballs danced better than they had in the entire competition. They had nothing to lose anymore, and it showed. But as the slow motion captured their expressions, even they couldn't believe the love they got. But there was still one thing missing: Charlie. All hopes for his return were dead. but he was the people's hero and he proved it.
हम इस देश के वासी हैं जहां रोज ही दंगा रहता है, हर दिल में तिरंगा रहता है.
They embrace and go in for their final performance. All the missing puzzle pieces were recovered. It was time for them to give it all they had. Grover's jig was up and Team India had emerged victorious. Not only successful in their mission, but also managing to win the dance trophy. So there you have it, an unexpected return during the war, a family feud and a dance competition that comes to aid at the right time. It is the feeling where you finally breathe out the weight you didn't even know you were holding. Cause let's face it, we are all suckers for cheesy endings like these. Which unexpected return did we miss out? Comment down below to let us know. Like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in our next video.